It's the Empty Room Podcast, the last episode in 2014. We talk Tom Brady. We talk about the North Koreans. Are they off the hook for the Sony hack? Andrew WK follows who on Twitter? And we say goodbye to 2014 with the top 10 stories on the Empty Room Podcast. Welcome. Welcome to the Empty Room Podcast. It is the last show of the year 2014. I am Scott, and with me is Eric.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. What do you think, Eric? The year ends today.
Good.
And then we go on to 2015.
Hopefully it'll be a better year.
Was last year bad?
No, well, no.
Dude, we made 14 shows in last year.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
So, 2014, we made 14 shows. Got some views, got some listeners. Things are all right, and you know who follow us. There's a special guy that follows us now.
Who?
I'll let you know later on in the show. See, that's called teasing.
Fuck you then, man. Jesus.
All right, so let's begin with the sports world today, and let's talk about football. Tom Brady. Is there anyone better at the quarterback position?
Well, people would say yes, but, you know, he's at least top three.
Sure. I have him top. I think he's the best quarterback to probably ever play the game. I do. I have him there. You shaking your head. What do you got for me?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but Joe Montana will always be the best to ever play the game. Sorry.
No, he's not nearly as good. I mean, he made some incredible plays at certain times, but Tom Brady's been to more Super Bowls. He's led teams with less talent there. Tom Brady's the man.
I'm not having this conversation. This will be a 3-hour conversation. I don't have that kind of time.
All right, fair enough. So anyway, Tom Brady, who makes a ton of money,
Tons,
and just like anybody else, deserves to make that type of money for the amount of what he does.
Sure.
in the football world. He has restructured his contract so that it frees up $24 million for the Patriots to sign other players. What do you think of that, Eric?
I think it's an awesome thing for him to do. This is actually the second time he's done it.
All right.
Although the first time he did it, they didn't actually sign the person he wanted them to sign. But that's okay.
And Tom decided to throw 4 interceptions that next game just to prove a point.
Really?
I don't know. I made that up.
You disappoint me. Anyway. But now he's doing it again. Everyone seems to think, and I kind of agree with that he's doing it so they can re-sign Darrelle Revis.
Right.
Which would be a good thing.
Revis has been tremendous this year.
He's been very, very, very good. Everything he's been touted to be.
Right.
So hopefully we can sign him to 2-3 more years, and that'd be great.
I think it's interesting in today's sports world where everybody's out to get as much money as possible. You have a situation here where a captain of the team, a very important part of the team, is giving up money he could earn.
Well,
to make sure that people are surrounded, him to get another chance to win a Super Bowl.
If I'm not mistaken, he's not actually giving up any money. He's actually just restructuring so he gets less money now and more money later.
Right. Whatever he's doing, it's opening up opportunities for the team to get better.
It's still a good thing. It's still a thing. People, most 99% players wouldn't do.
Right. But the other thing too, Eric, is most players aren't married to Gisele Bündchen, who makes $17 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, he's no matter what, he's fine. It's not like he's going to be.
But you'd have to think if he was able to win 2 more Super Bowls, he would be considered the best quarterback.
Probably. I mean, there's very, very few quarterbacks out there that have won 4 rings. Tom Brady sits at 3 right now. So if he were to win 4, maybe even a 5th, yeah, I think he now takes over the top spot.
Right, and in today's NFL, where it's pass-friendly and defense not so friendly, you need a guy like Darrelle Revis, and you need cornerbacks that can play exceptional defense and not get flagged. So I would think that it's of tremendous importance that they get Revis back in the fold because
Yeah.
you know he wants to go for big money.
Yeah, he'll go for whatever is the best contract.
Although you'd be surprised though, people that have good experiences with the Patriots tend to come back.
Yeah, they do, but Revis, and I'm not criticizing because it's not necessarily a bad thing. He strikes me as the kind of guy who will go for the best deal,
Right.
because his talents are worth the best deal. And
Number one. Number two, it's a collision sport.
Yeah.
And I've had this conversation with many people that you're talking about a sport where if you participate, you're taking years off your life. So these guys should go for as much money as they can because, quite frankly, you're not going to be living a good quality of life, if living at all, past 50. Because they say that if you participate in one snap in the NFL, your body's already damaged more than you would otherwise do in any other sport or job. So the collision sports like hockey and the NFL, National Football League, I think they should get as much money as they can. Now, the contact sports, not collision contact, like the National Basketball Association, and then the semi-contact, like baseball, then it doesn't feel as right for these guys to get that much money. Even though they command unbelievable salaries, and it has to do with marketing, it has to do with ticket sales, and it has to do with selling of fanware. But at the end of the day, man, the collision sports where your life has changed because you participated, and your lifespan has changed because you participated, those guys should get after the biggest money. So that even makes Tom Brady's decision to kind of shuffle things around a little bit more interesting. And I would suspect, like you said, Eric, Darrelle Revis is the number one priority to get back in there. Because defense wins championships, except if you're Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to defense in the NFL, can you tell me this guy's first name again? I always screw it up. Ndamukong Suh.
Douchebag.
He was the Lions were playing the Packers. He's on tape stepping on Aaron Rodgers
Twice.
on his bad ankle or leg. Yes?
Twice.
It happened twice. So I don't know. Was he flagged? Was he?
No, he wasn't flagged.
All
I mean, look, this is not the first time for this guy. He's a jackass. He does this sort of dirty stuff all the time. He tries to injure people. He steps on people when they're down, and he does this crap all the time. The NFL suspended him for a game. He appealed, and for some ungodly reason, some guy overturned the decision, so he's going to be allowed to play.
Well, it has to be the commissioner, right?
No, it's supposedly impartial, with air quotes that you can't see.
Eric, quite frankly, the NFL has been remarkably stupid this year.
Yes, but this is not the NFL's fault. This is an impartial.
They used
guy.
a mediator?
Yeah, that's how all appeals work.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
You appeal the decision, you go to a mediator, and the mediator hears from the NFL side and from
Right,
yeah, and he makes a decision. How he came to this decision, where he's like, well, overturn it.
Well, obviously he's a Detroit Lions fan.
Well, I suppose it's possible. I mean, it's not like he got off scot-free. He has a $70,000 fine, which for a guy who's making millions is nothing.
Yeah, if I got fined $17,000, $70,000, I'd be in a world of hurt. But for a guy that makes quite a good living playing football, it is. It's not that big a deal.
He's a jackass.
It's tough because you remember back in the day, Dick Butkus, and you remember those types of guys who were physical beyond belief and wanted to tear your head off. That's sort of gone from the NFL lexicon. It doesn't happen as much anymore, but Suh is one of those types of guys. The problem for Suh is that all his stuff that he does is on videotape. You have a few selected clips that you see Dick Butkus or Ray Nitschke or all those guys doing horrible things, but it's very rare that you have tape of them. The NFL, professional sports in general today, there's video on everything you're doing. So if you step on one of the poster boys' legs...
Yeah, I mean, it's not even... just pisses me off.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right. A lot of those times, a lot of things, it has to pass the smell test. Like, if it's obvious. So, like, Suh obviously was trying to injure or hurt one of the top quarterbacks in the league, especially because he already has a bad ankle. It should be pretty easy to say you don't play.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what people like us, or people in the public in general, get upset because if it looks like a duck, it's a duck. You can't tell me it's a squirrel.
Well, sometimes a squirrel kind of looks like a duck for some reason. I don't know where I'm going with this. Can we just move on?
Yeah, we'll move on. Now, it was a year or two ago when the San Francisco 49ers were pushing hard. They got to the Super Bowl. They lost in the Super Bowl.
These things happen.
And Jim Harbaugh, the coach of said 49ers, was the coaching darling of the NFL.
Well, he's a good coach.
Well, he's had a bad year with San Francisco.
These things also happen.
It turns out that Kaepernick is not nearly as good as everyone thought. And there's been some injuries. Defense hasn't played as well. They've had a tough year. I think they're out of the playoffs. I don't think they make.
Yeah, they are.
So Captain Jim has jumped ship. He's going to be the head coach of Michigan.
Well, I mean, he's a good
7
coach.
years, $14 million, I believe.
No. What?
7 years, $14 million, which is a lot of money for a college coach.
Huh. I had heard something else, but anyway, no, he's a good coach. He'll do well in Michigan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think a guy like Harbaugh in the college atmosphere will be able to recruit high-level talent there. Michigan's been struggling as of the last 2 years. They needed to make a splash. Ohio State has been much more of an effective football team than Michigan as the last 5 years. So, also, the coach of Michigan was under some controversy when their quarterback was clearly knocked on his ass and had a head concussion. Problem was that someone spoke to the media and he couldn't, there's a clip of him talking to the media after he gets knocked ass over tea kettle, and he's clearly out of it. And then 2 plays later, the coach puts him back in the game.
That's not good.
And you can't do that. You
No,
can't,
you can't.
I don't care how many, in the Division I world, it's a little bit different. Wins really supremely matter, and if you don't win, you are out. So I don't know what kind of pressure this coach was feeling, but you don't put a kid who is clearly concussed back into a game. You have to think of the kid's future. You can't think about your W's. So that event happened. That's still been hanging over Michigan this year. So he was fired, and the Harbaugh thing makes a lot of sense. But if you're a 49er fan, Eric, how are you feeling right now?
Well, I mean, I think it was probably time for a change over there anyway. They had that one good year, but they haven't been really doing much of anything since then.
That's my point. He wasn't there that long, though.
No, he wasn't there that long. Which I suppose is probably in the end a good thing, so that they didn't get overly attached to Harbaugh.
Meanwhile, over in Baltimore, the other Harbaugh brother, who coaches the Baltimore Ravens, is having issues of his own.
Yeah,
with the Ray Rice incident and there's another one. This one's not his fault though, but there's another one.
The Ray Rice thing wasn't exactly his fault either, but
it's still people under his manage. Now, this one we're about to bring up, this guy's not under his manage. You can't blame
the head
Coach
coach
Harbaugh
for this guy.
a security guard who's the head of Raven security fondling and groping people at the stadium.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not Coach Harbaugh's fault.
You can't do that sort of thing.
Joe Flacco is Coach Harbaugh's fault, but you can't blame him for the groping security head.
Yeah, security head. Yeah, it's.
Is there any reason to go to a Baltimore's Ravens game anymore?
Apparently not. You're either going to get punched or groped. It's not.
Team's going to play poorly. Flacco's going to cost way too much money. You might get a left hook from Ray Rice, and you might get
filled up by a security guard.
Yeah, I mean this Baltimore Ravens. What's going on? Is the other Harbaugh going to go coach at Ohio State maybe, and then they have their daily brotherly battles?
No,
probably right.
That would be weird.
So on all football Empty Room Podcast sports section.
Well, it is that time of year.
It is the season. That's true. And
anything's going on in hockey.
Well,
Bruins are going to suck up the joint.
Well, it's not true. Bruins are up and down. The problem is they've had some major injuries.
It's true.
They just got the big guy back.
Yeah, they just got Chara back, and I think Lucic and Bergeron are day-to-day.
And the Celtics
suck.
Traded Rondo to the Dallas Mavericks. And
but who cares?
And there's a lot of guys on that team. There's a lot of guys who I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that time again, Eric. You know it.
I love it.
It's the Pope Watch.
Hey, it's a good guy.
He is a decent guy.
Oh, don't start.
Well, I'm just saying, there's a couple things coming over from the Pope that I don't agree with. And, in this world, no one agrees with everyone entirely. And thus far, the Pope has taken a nice drive that I've been liking to follow. But not anymore. He's deviating off a little bit. He's deviating over here and then over here. I need him to get back on the straight and narrow. But
you're straight and narrow.
Let's first talk about what's happening. Okay. The Pope on December 24th. Christmas Eve. The Pope urges the world to be open to God. And I say, yeah, okay.
Well, that kind of makes sense coming from him.
Be open to the possibility. You don't have to agree. You don't have to believe, but just be open to the possibility. Sounds like good, sound advice from the Pope.
I agree.
And then later on this week, he talked about the Christian family as a missionary situation where the Christian family shows the love of God to the world. Okay. That's obviously that's where he stands on that type of thing, and I can buy that.
I can buy it too. It doesn't always go well, but
no,
I can buy it.
There are other families that work well and show love. So I don't think it has to be the actual Christian family, but the idea of love, displaying so other people can see and maybe get inspired. I don't know. So okay, I'm there too. But this other one, Eric,
you are such
this other one. The Pope says that the UN has to work harder to battle global warming and climate change.
I don't understand what your problem is.
I don't
get it.
Climate change is a fraud, Eric.
So what?
What do you mean, so what? I don't want the UN. What? I don't want the UN spending money on something that's not necessarily.
They're going to spend money on it anyway.
And I know there's people out there that believe in climate change, and I'm sorry, I just don't get it. Every time someone brings up a climate change type meeting that they're going to have to talk about it and battle it, it snows. And every time we hear about how much our carbon footprint is causing problems, I look at Al Gore and his carbon footprint kicks the living shit out of mine. There's more ice in the Arctic than there's ever been. Polar bears are everywhere. I just don't buy it. And I'm sorry. And I know that might rub people the wrong way. I apologize. Look, I'm in no position to do anything about it, but I just don't see it that way. So this is where the Pope and I we branch out a little bit.
What I object to
going this way,
is that we've been calling this guy a good guy for weeks and weeks and weeks. Just because he says this one thing, you've downgraded him from good to decent.
No, I just said decent guy because he's a good guy. I agree he's a good guy. But I don't want him spending the Pope of money on things that aren't real.
You know what? You do know what some people would say to that, right?
What?
That he's already doing that?
Oh, look, it's a good thing that people in the world can disagree without getting ugly about it.
Yeah.
And the Pope has an idea. Doesn't mean that I think that idea is right, but it goes back to his original idea. Say, hey, be open to this. See what you think. Well, I've seen what I thought on that subject, and I don't believe it. But that's fine. There's a lot of people that don't believe in the Christian faith. There's a lot of people that don't believe in Santa Claus. I believe in Santa Claus. Why not?
I like Santa Claus. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, he was in the last Christmas special for Doctor Who, and he was fantastic. So,
yeah, it was actually Santa Claus. People say it was Nick Frost, but it really wasn't.
Yeah, did anyone see Nick Frost anywhere else? Yeah,
no,
So anyway. I think it's healthy that you can disagree with things that are things or ideas that are out there and theories that are out there. So I disagree with the climate change.
Fine.
I'm okay with him on the urging and the family missionary and all that stuff, and we can go forward. I don't think the Pope's going to hate me because I disagree on the climate change.
Yeah, but you're going to hate the Pope because of this climate change.
I'm not going to hate the Pope. I still think the Pope's a very interesting and good guy. I think what he has done, and we've talked about this before, bucking a lot of the traditions. I like the idea that he talks about things that need to change. The Catholic faith has been rattled with horrible, horrible things, from child molestation to not accepting homosexuality, all that stuff that just needs to be different.
Yes.
And I think he's worked on that. I think he said, all right, look, I think priest can marry. It's coming down the pipe if it hasn't happened already. I think they understand that homosexuality, it's not a big deal.
They're taking steps. They're not where they're not where they need to be, but he's taking steps. I mean, I'm sure the gay community would say it's not enough, but it's
right. But he's the first pope that's trying to work with him on that.
Yeah,
He's really trying. And remember, I think we talked about this a couple episodes back, that there's an old guard in the Vatican that does not want to see change like this, and it's one of the reasons why he probably does not stay in the Vatican.
No, he doesn't stay in the Vatican all that much
because of fears of being poisoned, which has happened before in the Vatican. So again, it's okay to disagree with certain people. I'll say it again. It's okay to disagree with people on certain items. And I disagree with him on one, but that doesn't mean that all the other stuff he's doing isn't great. So,
okay, whatever.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a decent good guy.
No, he's a good guy. You can't. He's just decent now.
Well, yeah, he's a good guy. And if you're out there, Popa, I still love you. The news.
Yeah.
God, makes us want to
drink heavily.
Those guys are awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I do. I love them.
So let's talk about the news, Eric.
Do we have to?
We do. News story number 1.
Yeah.
There's a plant, a salt.
Oh, okay.
And
there's
this
a plant that just throws salt.
No. There's a salt plant, and in the building they obviously contain a bunch of salt.
Well, yeah, I would think so. If it's a salt plant, then...
Next to the building of the salt plant is a car dealership.
Okay.
I think no one could expect that the two would mix somehow.
No.
But they do in this story. In this story, the wall of the salt plant shockingly disintegrates.
Okay, that's not good.
Yeah, if it let go, and tons of salt spilled onto all the vehicles in that region.
In that area?
Now, here's my thing, Eric, and I've been thinking about this for a while now, after seeing this story.
Okay.
Did they not think the salt was going to eat away at the wall at some point? I mean, that's sort of what salt does.
Yeah, it's kind of what salt does.
So, hey, we're going to put all this salt over here against that wall. Don't worry, it's a big wall. It's never going to fall. But
wait.
But wait a minute.
But wait a second. No,
and now there are many vehicles filled with salt. I don't want to buy a car filled with salt.
Why? What if you're out of salt? You don't want to go to the grocery store.
Well, salt's important. It's important. NaCl is good for your body. It makes things taste better, especially dull meats.
Dull meats.
So, but obviously the paint has been scratched and the leather's been eaten away at by salt. So I don't think those vehicles are sellable now.
No, probably not. No, unless they. I don't know how you do. How do you deal with that? You just get a vacuum. I mean, what do you do?
I think what happens is that they call in a hazmat team and they come in and they pick up the salt.
The salt. Was it regular table salt? Are we talking like rock salt? Are we talking the kind of salt they put on roads?
I'm not exactly sure. However, I do believe that every single person in the building grabbed a handful and threw it over its shoulder. just to make sure.
Maybe they should have done that before the wall disintegrated.
Yeah, I'm just glad no one was killed. I mean, you imagine if you're showing a car and all, oh my God! So, yeah, I would tend to think that both companies are insured. So insurance it's going to be a battle of insurance over this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't just store a ton of salt against a wall. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
So, the next story, Eric,
Ooh.
is an update.
An update?
An update.
What sort of update?
This update.
An update on what?
An update on something we did last episode.
Okay.
We talked about the Sony hack thing and how North Korea was behind it.
Oh, well, you know those pesky North Koreans.
Well, it turns out, Eric, that North Korea is not behind it.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. We talked a little bit about how in North Korea, 5 people have internet, and
Not anymore, they don't.
but it was very rare that it was entertained that North Korea, working with China, was able to hack into Sony because they didn't want to see the movie The Interview come out, which basically portrays Kim Jong-un as kind of a fat, womanizing idiot.
Isn't he a fat womanizing idiot?
Well, I don't know.
I know he's fat.
I mean, I don't know, but...
We've seen pictures. He's fat.
Well, yeah, he's a little chunky. That's fine.
Fat.
Pleasantly plump.
No. Fat.
So anyway, that it became a plausible idea, and the FBI got on board and said, yeah, it was absolutely North Korea. And then they stuck their forks in them and made all the internet go out. And they made... So North Korea is dark over there right now.
Good.
The 7 people that have internet don't have internet. And that includes Kim Jong-un. But it turns out that the FBI was wrong and that we were wrong.
Well, we're wrong a lot.
Yeah, we're wrong a lot. Trust me, we are. It turns out that the Sony hack was actually people that were fired from Sony.
How did they not check that first?
You have to turn in your card and your passwords. Wait a minute. Did we ask for their passwords? I don't know if we did or not.
Did we change our passwords?
These guys were pretty good on the computer. I don't know if did we change our password?
I mean, when this thing happened, why didn't they first look to the people that they fired?
I don't know. I don't know.
It must have been North Korea.
Well, that's the thing. It goes back to the smell factor. If it quacks like a duck, don't tell me it's a squirrel.
The smell factor and quacking like a duck. You're not making a lot of sense right now.
Well, that's typical. How about this? Occam's razor. The simplest answer is probably the correct one.
True.
So you fire about 4 or 5 people that have high-level access to your business. They probably weren't happy that they were let go. All of a sudden, tons of information about you is on and open to everybody.
Yes. What is the simplest solution? That these recently fired, disgruntled ex-employees did it?
Who hate you right now.
Who absolutely despise your very being? Or North Korea? I think I'm going to go with the former employees.
But you know what, Eric? Maybe they're onto something. Maybe in today's world where we like to pass blame on everybody else except ourselves, everyone can blame North Korea for everything.
I stubbed my toe. Goddamn North Korea!
I did not get the raise I wanted. Kim Jong-un is behind it. I don't know.
Someone keyed my car. Those North Koreans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So, but the worst part is the FBI thought it was the North Koreans.
Well, the FBI isn't, they're not holding themselves to a high esteem right now.
You would think that how does that type of department get confused unless these people that were fired from Sony are so good that they made it look like the Koreans did it.
Could you at least tell me if one of the formerly employed people was North Korean?
We don't know, but maybe they made it look like it was the North Koreans that did it. And now there's a little fat dictator who's really unhappy out there. He doesn't have...
Sorry, Kim.
He doesn't have internet.
Can't watch The Interview, poor bastard. It's on the internet for free.
Oh, my goodness.
And he can't watch it.
Yeah, it's coming to Netflix, too. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So I don't know how we got that one wrong, but we'll press on. They've created an illusion coating now that hides objects from detection. What do you think? I know what you're thinking. I can't see it.
What do I think of what? What are you pointing at?
I can't see it. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so explain this to me again.
There's an illusion coating.
There's a coating
that hides objects from detection.
That hides objects.
I know what you're thinking.
I can't see it. Okay, so it's basically. What the fuck does it do?
I told you what it does. It hides
No. I mean,
objects from detection.
Are we talking like it's camo paint, or what are we talking about here?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Can't see it.
So we're going to move on.
Are we talking about like it's like clear? Like you paint it, and it's as you're painting it, it seems like you're erasing it.
Look,
because
you're asking the wrong guy. I can't see it.
You can't see it,
so I don't know.
So what
about
are you talking about? How do you know it even exists?
I just have word on good authority.
No. We have this car here. It's covered in this illusion coating, so you're not going to be able to see.
Wait a minute. Maybe it's the salt. The salt makes the car disappear.
How do you know there's even a car there? He might just be fucking with you.
No. All I know is that there's illusion coating that hides objects from detection.
Hides objects.
That's all I know.
What are you talking about?
I can't see it. I don't know. Let's move on. We got to move on. Okay, we got to move on. Oh my gosh! Speaking of illusion coating, and actually, no,
I still don't understand.
Look, I can't see it. I don't know. All right. Anyway, speaking of, I was gonna say, I don't even know what I'm gonna talk about, but student loan debt is now unreal. Federal student loan over $800 billion.
Are you sure it's not an illusion?
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a coating on top of it that makes it unable to be detected, and I can't see it. So federal student loan debt at an unrealistic $800 billion. Does that ever get paid back, Eric?
No.
No, it does not. So
does that mean I don't have to pay mine back?
I mean, I think everyone, if it's $800 billion, all of us sort of have student loan debt through the federal government. Well, yeah.
Yeah. I think I need to start buying guns.
Okay.
No.
I think you should buy the illusion coating.
The illusion coating and just paint my house.
It hides objects from detection. And you know what? I can't see it.
I can't see it. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well,
they sell you a bucket of air.
It's interesting because one of the reasons to go to a university is to get trained and get an education so that you can get a better job and hopefully pay back your loans. I don't know how the loan system has gotten this high, but it seems awful high, and it seems like it would be a near impossibility to pay it all back.
I don't know. It seems like a racket to me. They're just getting money hand over fist and charging.
Yeah, I mean, college isn't cheap anymore. It's pretty expensive. So
it's stupid expensive,
right? But that's one of those make you want to booze type moments. All right, $800 billion. Good luck. And lastly, Eric. You want to continue?
I'm going to continue.
Okay, he's ready.
No, I just want to clarify my gun comments because I can be taken any sorts of directions.
Easy there, big fella.
No, it's the kind of thing. It's like, oh god, we have an $800 billion with a B billion.
Right, billion.
School debt. We have an $17 trillion deficit. It's just kind of thing where it's like, all right, it's time to prep because I think we're going down in flames.
Right. I mean, there's certainly a possibility of that. However, one of the things that the United States has going for it right now, the current administration doesn't really use it, but there is a lot of oil, shale oil through the fracking system that could help clear up a lot of that debt. Of course, there's a lot of environmental groups that say, hey, you can't touch it, it's going to hurt everybody, blah, 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 blah. Although most people feel pretty secure that fracking is a safe way to get after it. And if you frack and get shale oil, we have as much oil, if not more so, than the Middle East. So, I mean, that's the ticket to get out. You need to have someone with some cojones to actually go in there.
Big balls.
Go in there and actually get it done. And there's actually, I mean, it's amazing the stories that are coming out. Things that we used to believe as fact are now being challenged. It used to be that oil was fossil fuel. We got this from the dinosaurs. And there's only a select amount of it, and once it's gone, it can't come back. That's starting to be proven false. That a lot more than anything else, fuel comes from plankton and greens, and what happens is it gets pressed. And I mean, oil fields that were considered dry are starting to be there again. Really, it's amazing stuff. fossil fuels may not be. Well, no, fossil fuels may not be at all. Oil may not be. There's only a finite amount. It might be continuous. And if that's the case, it changes everything. So I don't know. There's ways. Those numbers are unbelievable. 17 trillion, 800 billion, and there's probably some other numbers that are even more hurtful than those. But the point is, there's a possibility to get out. Certain aspects, certain things need to happen. And the other thing, too, is that when it becomes so crazy like this, 800, 17 trillion, whatever, if you just delete it, because there's no paper, there's no gold behind any of this money. It's just numbers now.
Yeah.
You know, a reset of the system, I wonder how horrible it would be if it reset.
It would be kind of catastrophic. And not in terms of, like, things won't explode if that were to happen. That wouldn't happen. But in terms of, like,
I just sort
maybe
of
the financial system wouldn't.
Well, I subscribe to the Dennis Miller thought process on this. Was, you know, we got to deal with the deficit. We got to deal with the deficit. Hey, we're the United States. We're not going to pay it. Look, I've solved the deficit. I think a reset, especially now where, you know, the Fed, we actually borrow our money through the Fed now, and the Fed, you know, the Fed, that whole system is turning into a colossal failure. The notes that you have, the money that you have, is actual debt. You know, that's what's crazy. You have a dollar bill; it's actually negative $2 in the whole scheme of things. So, I don't know if you just cleared all that stuff up. Look, we're not gonna pay this. We're not gonna pay this. You know, you think about how it would if you were owning a business and you're working with a debt. Right? I've accumulated $17,000 in debt. There's no way I can pay it. What I can do is, if you take this away, I'll give you this. If you take this away, I'll give you this. And then hopefully we can meet in the middle, start over, and this time do it right. You know, maybe some penalties that go along with it, saying, look, you can't give out a loan more than $5,000 to me ever, or what have you, so that on the second time around, we get it right. So there might be a possibility to do that. Or chaos and anarchy, and you got to be ready for that if that goes down.
Well, yeah. Going back to the guns thing.
Yeah, okay. Right. And our last story in the news today, this is a good one, Eric. You say that. It could almost make our top 10 of the year, which is coming. Top 10 stories from 2014 by the Empty Room Podcast. This one is a honorable mention. In New York, Long Island, thieves stole a dump truck, backed it into a Macy's and got the doors open, smashed them open with the truck, put a chain around the ATM machine in Macy's, yanked it out with the truck, and then put it in the backseat and drove away. Now, we would not have known about this illustrious affair if it hadn't been for a taxi driver who would like to remain nameless, who followed them. And he was driving erratically, the taxi driver said, and then all of a sudden
driving erratically, eh?
And then ditched the dump truck with the ATM machine in a small area that had a pond. It was a beautiful sight.
Did they get the money out of the ATM?
No, they ran.
They just ran?
Yeah, they ditched the car and got out. So all that work for nothing. And
what was the point?
And somewhere there's a person who really wanted to buy something at Macy's and needed the ATM machine. And
they couldn't.
It's no longer
You
there.
ruined Christmas, you
Ruined
bastards.
Christmas with your bad idea. Boo on you, sir. We're heading into the home stretch. We have our entertainment news, and then we're going to finish up with our goodbyes to 2014, some Twitter topics, and then our top 10 stories of the year of 2014 for the Empty Room podcast. I know you're excited for that, Eric.
Can't wait. No, yeah.
I mean, that'll be fun. I think that'll be a good time.
It'll be a really good time.
So, starting with the entertainment, the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker.
Yes, I know.
His first adventure was 40 years ago.
Wow.
That's a long
Time flies.
That's a long time. How many doctors since then?
He was the fourth? Yeah. Sick? No. Son of a bitch! No.
Do you need that coding?
Oh, I'm not having a good day.
The illusion coding hides objects from detection. I can't see.
Can't see it. Oh, God.
Well, the point is that the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, in Doctor Who world,
Eight! There's been 8 of them.
is
Right? Am I right?
Yes, you're right. Is considered to be the most loved Doctor.
He is. He's the most popular Doctor there ever was.
And David Tennant, the 10th, is second.
Yeah.
And then Matt Smith is the third.
I would say Matt Smith is third.
Yeah. So 40 years ago today, and the resurgence of Doctor Who in 2009, a lot of it has to do with the fact that people look back at Tom Baker and say that's a good show. So cheers to that. Eric, Ghostbusters movie, the new one. It's going to be all chicks.
All chicks and really lots of scariness.
It's going to be scary. You in?
No.
What?
No.
What?
I don't
What?
care. I'm sorry.
What? What if Gillian Anderson's in it?
She won't be.
What? What?
As much as I would love her to be in it, she's not going to be.
Why not?
Well, they want
David Duchovny, and they're not going to get him.
They're not going to get that.
Look, I think it's going to be great.
No, it isn't.
And I think
It's going to suck.
What's going to happen?
It's going to blow balls.
No. It's going to blow balls. I need that illusion coding, right? No, but I think what's going to happen is they're going to reboot it. They're going to do it nice. And then you're going to have the original Ghostbusters that are still alive. Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray. Who else is there?
Ernie Hudson.
What about Janine? Who's Janine? What's her name?
Annie Potts.
And they're going to have really interesting little cameos in the whole thing.
No, they're not.
And it's going to be cute.
No, it isn't.
And all of a sudden, you're going to be interested.
No, I'm not.
Yep.
No.
I think that's what's going to happen.
I think it's going to be a colossal failure.
Whoa.
I think they're
Colossal?
They're going to try and get these 3 or 4 women together.
Gillian Anderson.
No, Gillian Anderson's not going to be one of them. She's not going to do it. She wants to do it, but she wanted to do, Ghostbusters style Ghostbusters. This is not Ghostbusters. This is 4 chicks fighting ghosts. So find a different name. If it were in the same style as Ghostbusters, if it were
What about Rick Moranis? If Rick Moranis was
Rick Moranis is retired. If it were the same style as Ghostbusters, I'm not saying just because it's 4 girls fighting ghosts, you shouldn't call it Ghostbusters. If it was in the same style as Ghostbusters, the original was, fine. You can reboot it, but you can call it Ghostbusters, fine. You're doing a completely different thing. We're going to make it scary. The first one wasn't all that scary. They had some scary moments, but there's a lot of comedy involved.
I tell you what, when that library chick went wild, I was pretty scared.
Yeah, but we were 2 at the time.
Oh. Oh. Well, I don't think we know anything about it yet. Until we're
He wants to make it scary.
I think he still wants it to be funny, too. I think he just wants it,
Who is this guy?
It's interesting. First off, let's take a step back. The original Ghostbusters was rated PG.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in there that would not fly in a PG movie anymore.
No, that's true. There's a lot of swearing. There's a lot of smoking. There's
misogyny.
I mean, Venkman was one step away from being a predator on.
I mean, it was pretty crazy. It's a great movie. There's a lot of funny parts. I think, quite frankly, every week I use some sort of Ghostbusters shtick that I got from the movie because it's just brilliant.
It's true, sir.
But
this man has no dick.
but a PG rating for that would not fly anymore. If
no.
you were re-rating it, it would be probably PG,
at the very least PG-13.
but possibly R. So for Peter Friedman, the guy who's going to direct this thing, for him to say it's going to be scarier, we're hoping for that PG-13. Well, dude, that's what the other one was.
No, it could because it just seems to me that they're going to go for scary rather than funny, and I don't. That's not a Ghostbusters movie.
Well, until we see the preview and we see what he's actually going.
I don't like it.
All right, he doesn't like it. Moving on. Now, I want to talk a little bit about something that you and I, as a podcasting crew, the Empty Room Podcast, where we were 2 nights ago.
We were someplace grand.
We were at the hometown throwdown for the Mighty Mighty Ballstones at
the House of Blues in Boston.
It was
fan-fucking-tastic.
It was outstanding.
It was great.
And one of the reasons it was so outstanding was Andrew WK.
He was fantastic. If you have a chance to go see him, do it!
Andrew WK actually follows the Empty Room Podcast now.
Does he really?
He does indeed. That was my little tease I said in the beginning.
Oh, you did that tease so well.
Yes, I did.
No, he didn't.
Andrew WK is a follower of the Empty Room Podcast. Now we want to thank him for that. His show, it was amazing because you had him and then the Ballstones. And the Ballstones were killer as they usually are.
Of course.
And we didn't really know what to expect with Andrew WK. We bought 2 of his first albums and really liked them, but I didn't know how it was going to translate into a show, and it translated awesome.
He was amazing. I loved it. I loved that he just had this grin on his face the entire time.
Yeah, you can tell he loves what he's doing.
He really enjoys what he does. He just seems like he has so much fun, and
what a positive message he has. You know, he's talking. There was one part where he's looking at the pit, and they're all going crazy and whatnot, and he's like, he goes, "You guys have earned this. You're doing so good." And you're just like, holy crap! Like but it wasn't. You know, sometimes when you hear people talk like that, you think condescension. But it seemed like he actually believed it. And
yeah.
he's a motivational speaker as well. He's been on Fox News. He's been on CNN. He's been interviewed by tons of people. He actually has like a Dear Abby sort of thing going on where people write into him and ask him questions, and then he responds. And all of his stuff is about how if you're alive, things are going great. So have a good time and work hard. And I was really impressed. Quite frankly, Party Hard could be the greatest song ever created in terms of you can't not move when that song comes on. It has every bit it has a great beat. It has real good guitar stuff going on, and then it's got a little bit of rebellion in it, and it's got a little bit of we're gonna have fun. Great song. And when that came on, the roof
went off. The people went nuts.
It was great. So Andrew WK, outstanding, and the Ballstones, man. The Ballstones did their thing.
Great. They were great. I had never seen the Ballstones live. They were fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yep, a lot of old, a lot of new, and it was a great night. And the Empty Room Podcast was very fortunate to be there, and hopefully maybe we can go again next year.
That'd be
nice. Hometown Throwdowns are really cool, and I'm definitely gonna be searching for the next time Andrew WK is in the region. I want to see that show again.
Oh yeah, me too. Love it.
And finally, the NHL, Eric, has snagged Billy Idol for the Winter Classic Entertainment. What do you think? What do you think of that?
Way to find someone relevant.
They probably should have done that 20 years ago when it actually sort of mattered. But Billy Idol's cool, man. I like Billy Idol.
Whatever.
White Wedding.
White Wedding.
Dancing with myself.
Yeah, fine. You know what? The NHL has problems of its own.
But it's getting better, though.
You know what? It's getting better, but it's still not getting as popular as it should be getting. I love hockey, but it's not getting as popular. And to do something like this...
White Wedding.
White Wedding. It's, you know what? If you want the Winter Classic was a great idea. You have 1 year it might actually be in Boston again this year because I know
it was in Fenway, right?
Yeah, it was at Fenway a couple years ago, and I don't know if they've chosen yet, but I know that I'm kind of behind, but
Can we sing Money Money?
No. But if you want entertainment, how about find someone with some relevance, or at least
like Taylor Swift.
Oh God, no, or at least someone who just
Miley Cyrus.
Shut up. You know what? Fine, Billy Idol's fine. Billy Idol's fine.
Eyes without a face. Oh no, Billy Idol's great. What are you talking about, man? And quite frankly, the NHL, who what would we say, about 5 years ago, was ass over tea kettle, was on its way out. They've made a gigantic comeback. A lot of that has to do with the inexpensive now flat screen high definition TV, so you actually see the puck that's happening. True. So there's good things going their way. They're actually paying their players a little bit more than they used to. So I think good things are happening. Does Billy Idol work here? Sure.
Fine.
But, Ray Parker wasn't available at the time.
God.
Twisted Sister, I mean, we're not going to take it. It's way better than Eyes Without
Someone get Dee Snider on the phone.
I'm sure Dee would love to do it.
Well, Dee's busy with radio, I guess.
So, oy. All right, in 2014, Eric, we lost some pretty important people in the entertainment industry.
Yep.
We've talked about them.
Yep.
A little bit. Our most famous being when we talked about poor Robin Williams, and we've talked about
Joan
Rivers, and Philip Seymour Hoffman. So it was a pretty big three people to lose. Williams being the guy that really hurt the most.
Well, hurt us the most.
Yeah. So that's.
I mean, Hoffman kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, we had known that he had drug issues in the past, but then
I think that's why the Hoffman thing didn't register as well as the Williams thing did on the Richter scale.
Well, true. I mean, no one really saw the Williams thing coming.
And Joan was in her 80s, and
yeah, she was in her 80s, but it wasn't like she died of a heart attack or anything. It was
died from stupidity.
Died from dumbass surgeon asshole
taking
guy.
selfies while she was on the terrible. So those are a pretty big three to lose.
Certainly not the only three.
No, but those are the ones that we want to mention real briefly here because there were. I think in general we were fans of all three of them. So Philip Seymour Hoffman did some great stuff.
I had my issues with. Issues is a strong word. But I never really found much interest in Joan Rivers. I mean, I respected the hell out of her, but I never found her to be all that funny. But
we sort of missed.
Yeah, we missed her prime.
Yeah, we caught the tail end when she was sort of using her own situation as the joke.
Yeah,
like, look, I'm going to get another surgery, and I'm older than dirt, and blah blah blah.
But for me, it was like my main exposure to her was the fashion stuff, which I didn't care about. So
right.
She
did a great job in the Mel Brooks movie.
Yeah,
in Spaceballs. So, but a lot of people respected her.
Absolutely,
guys that I really like. Mel Brooks loved her.
Oh yeah.
Penn Jillette loved her. Guys that I really like were very respectful of her. So that was a tough one. Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, I think he was the first guy that I can remember, Eric, that was sort of a secondary guy that just went into a major guy. He was always doing these sort of roles where he was, the Big Lebowski, he was the butler, and in was that movie with Boogie Nights, he was sort of the creepy wannabe friend of Dirk Diggler, and then all of a sudden he just made this big push, and then he became an A-list actor, and he was doing all these roles. But you had said before that he had sort of a past with drug issues, and it wasn't entirely surprising that an OD happened. And then lastly, Robin Williams, again, no one saw that coming. One of those types of guys that were heroes to us when we were growing up. Very, very brilliant, very, very funny man. Didn't know that he was facing a lot of the darkness, and we lost him too. So we say goodbye to them. Eric, let's do some Twitter topics to get us back on the high note, huh?
Well, we'll give it a shot. I can't make any promises.
All right. This is our new sort of thing that we do. It's called Twitter topics.
We're kind of just feeling it out. We'll probably make.
We might end up pouring the illusion coating on it, and
well, no, I think we can make it better in the new year. But for now, we'll just do it on the fly.
Quick shots here, Eric. World is safest, richest, and healthiest in history.
Really?
New York Jets clean house, fire Rex Ryan.
Well, who didn't see that one coming?
New photo of the Millennium Falcon in the Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Can I have it?
Mini Scrubs reunion. Zach Braff, Donald Faison, and John C. McGinley take a picture together.
Who cares? The show only ended 2 years ago.
Well, our very first performance of the Magic Bullet 20 years ago, says Penn Jillette.
I don't even know what the hell he's talking about.
Well, they do the Penn and Teller do the bullet catch, where they both face each other, and then they shoot the gun, and they both catch the bullets in their teeth. It's their most famous magic trick, and that started 20 years ago.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Good for them.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. Endless notifications turning us into zombies, Eric.
What?
Do we have any others? Walmart closes for Christmas. Walmart closes for Christmas. Shoppers become unruly and try to force their way in.
Well, I mean, I got nothing for that one. That was just...
Everyone's stupid all the way around.
That one's stupid all the way around.
Casey Kasem finally buried.
How long did it take?
Too long.
Too damn long.
And he's in a lonely grave by himself.
Oh, God. This is so horrible.
It's tough.
That witch better run, because she's going to get... I don't know. She sucks.
Man hospitalized after chugging eggnog at office party.
Who spiked it?
I could drink all of it.
it.
Mind over matter. The brain alone can tone muscle.
I don't believe that.
And
I've wanted to be muscular. I'm not. I'm really not. The brain's not having any effect whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work per se, but yeah. Angry nudist chased down, performed citizen's arrest on man with camera. Well, you know, just because we don't have clothes on doesn't mean we can't start some shit. Oh, boy. I think that's all we have. Although Paul Walker's dad is suing the family of the driver in Paul's fatal crash. He was the guy who was in...
I know, yeah.
I don't know what that was.
I kind of looked at that earlier today, and it was... what was it? They say that the guy and his family are holding on to... Like
a couple of the cars, right?
Like $1.8 million worth of cars.
A couple of his cars.
Yeah,
so.
and they're demanding either the cars or cash.
Yeah, so... And lastly, Eric, Manny Pacquiao vows to fight Floyd Mayweather in New Year's resolution tweet.
Oh, good.
We can finally get that over with.
Yeah, two 50-year-old guys who...
I don't know, man. Mayweather's still badass. I don't know if Pacquiao still packs the punch, but that would be a decent fight, and of course would make everybody a lot of money.
Great.
Okay, Eric. It's 2014. It's the last day of 2014. Let's talk about some of the great stories that we've covered over the 14 episodes that we've done.
Let's do it.
Let's rank them. I don't
want to rank them.
You don't want to rank them? You just want to just sort of talk about them?
Yeah, just a good old looking back at these wonderful stories.
Well, how about this? I want you to pick your top three.
All right.
So
fine.
we'll go through them all and then pick your top three. I'll do mine, and then that's how we'll end the Empty Room podcast for 2014. Okay, in episode 13, we talked about the coolest thing you ever found in a plate of ribs. This is when, what's-his-face lost his...
What's-his-face? Show some respect! I can't remember his name either.
It was the baseball announcer
who
lost his World Series ring in a plate of ribs at Costco.
The Dodgers guy, Vin Scully?
Vin Scully, that's what it was. Okay, how about in episode 12, when we found out that stealing Chinese food dressed as a Teletubby isn't a good idea?
Oh, that was hilarious.
That was a guy who was dressed as a Teletubby who broke into his friend's house, stole his Chinese food, left, and the friend pressed charges, and he... just nonsense.
I still want to know which Teletubby he was.
I think it was the yellow one.
Was he the yellow one?
I think so.
All right.
That's the one that I would choose if I was going to do such a thing.
I was going to do the purple one.
Episode 10, Joe Randall for the Cowboys steals MeUndies at a local mall, and then MeUndies contacts him, and he becomes the spokesperson for said MeUndies that he stole. Weirdness.
This is so weird.
Episode 8, Mayor de Blasio killing the groundhog.
Oh.
You know, he's done a lot.
He can't do anything right, can he?
He's done a lot of bad things, and right now he is probably on his way out for some of ineptitude and his socialist weasel. But we were there first when he was
murdering groundhogs.
Although to be fair, I think we came on the side of just negligence. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just a bad situation. But that groundhog did jump out of his hands and die.
Well, I think that groundhog knew what she was doing. wanted to get away from this bastard as quickly as possible.
That's
Just
right.
didn't take into effect gravity.
Well, gravity hurts.
Gravity does hurt.
Another one from episode 8, the hoarding mailman in New York.
Oh,
This was the guy that for 8 years didn't didn't deliver any of the mail that he got. He put it in his driveway and in his garage.
This guy was weird.
That was weird, and he was arrested for it.
Good.
And all those people weren't able to pay for their cable. Tough. Episode 6, explosive pot paste. This is the one where we found out that there was a story where you could make marijuana into this paste that you could use as a lip balm, and it had some powerful punch. The problem was that
It was highly flammable.
highly flammable. It could blow up your house. Episode 5 had the biggest fish donation in history.
That was the tiger shark, wasn't it?
Yeah, the church that acquired the 800-pound tiger shark.
Nice.
It was donated from fishermen who caught it, and they fried it up and filleted it, and it fed like over 35 people or something. It was a good story. Let's see here. Episode 3, what a judge should and shouldn't do. This is the piece of garbage who was a judge and basically gave a sentence to this guy who for alimony payments that were outrageous. And it turns out that he was having relations with the man's wife.
Sexual relations?
This relations, or as Eric likes to call it,
Banging his wife.
and because of that, that's why he gave him the high alimony charges. So the guy turns around and sues him, and unfortunately the guy loses.
That's so
It's
stupid.
a terrible story. That's tough. Real tough. Episode 10, the 33 dildo guy.
Oh, yes. 33 dildos.
The Wisconsin guy who was driving around armed with dildos and throwing them at teenage girls was arrested with 33 dildos. We made the jump that he probably had 50, and I'm getting there. And he probably had already chucked out many of them. God. Just a weird story all the way around. Let's see here. Episode 2, alternatives to handshakes. We were talking about how when you shake someone's hand, there's more germs doing that than anything else.
Yeah.
So you should go to the fist bump or something else. And Eric suggested that you go for the
Slap on the fanny.
the slap on the fanny to finish deals, and it just seemed highly inappropriate. All right, let's shake on it. Get over here. Stop running.
We're gonna complete this merger. Get that ass over here. We're gonna smack each other on the fanny.
And
Great.
that means the deal is solid. Okay, episode 9, a fire at the crematorium.
Is this the 400-pound dead guy that they tried to cremate?
Yeah, they put him in the crematorium, and he was too big, and the fire shot out the top, and it caught the roof on fire. They called in the firemen, and they put the fire out, and then they went back to trying to
burn him again.
Unbelievable. And then lastly, out of the ones we've chosen to talk about, episode 6, Wally the giraffe.
I love Wally the giraffe.
Wally the giraffe was a 2-year-old giraffe at a zoo in San Diego, where this woman had the bright idea to try to get into the pen. And she got over the first wall and then was kind of teetering on the second, and Wally punted her.
Right in the face.
So Eric, out of all those, what was your top 3 stories of 2014?
Top 3 stories of 2014. All right. I will do this in order. So 3 is,
3 is the
3 is the lowest. Let's see. I think I'd have to go with number 3 is coolest thing you've ever found in a plate of ribs. Because I just think that's so funny. He loses it and finds it with the ribs.
He couldn't find it. He was freaking out at Costco, and then they found it on a plate of ribs.
Let's see. Number 2 is, even though the guy is a deviant and needs to go away for the rest of his life, in my opinion, the 33 dildo guy is number 2.
There's so many questions, unanswered questions about that still.
It's the idea. It's like, I'm going to throw these dildos at teenagers.
Oh, it's awful. Don't get me wrong, but the unanswered questions. what was he thinking? Number one. Number two, where did he buy the dildos? Who sold him the dildos? Was he able to buy them in bulk? I mean, no one knows.
Was he buying them from one place? Because you have to kind of ask yourself, where's the limit of how many dildos you sell one person?
What was the merchant doing when he was selling all those dildos to the guy?
What are you going to do with all these dildos? Don't worry, I'm just going to throw them at teenagers.
Okay. No, they're for self-use.
All right, and number one, by far, is Wally the Giraffe. I love this story.
When we heard that story, it was episode 6, and we were, just starting to get in our groove as what we do for Empty Room Podcast. And we were finishing up the news. And if I remember correctly, Eric, and we'll have to look, maybe when we have a moment we can look back, the news was pretty awful that day.
Oh, it was awful.
I mean, it normally is. You have national debt, you have problems with ISIS, you have horrible
murder
things,
and mayhem,
yeah, I mean awful. And we actually normally try to steer away from that and talk about some other stuff, but we actually talked about some of the horrible things, and then we ended with Wally the Giraffe.
This wonderful giraffe. I mean, the woman gets hurt, and that kind of sucks to a point. But right. I mean, I remember I probably said this back then too, but it's like when you're climbing a fence or a wall to get, I want to be close to the animals. You kind of have something coming your way, and it's Wally just punted that bitch right back over the wall.
Jeez. Well, my top 3. Number 3 is A Fire at the Crematorium. Episode 9.
Pretty good.
That was unbelievable, because I think what sealed the deal for me is that after the firemen finished, they went back to work.
They went back. Shows you the tenacity of.
Well, think about this, Eric. What else were they going to do?
Well, yeah, we're gonna just scrape the rest out and put them in a casket. We can't do this.
So
anymore.
That's number 3. Number 2. Let's see here. Number 2. I got to go with coolest things you ever found in a plate of ribs, because that's just unbelievable. And I will agree. Wally the Giraffe is number 1.
So the top story for the Empty Room podcast in 2014 is Wally the Giraffe punching a bitch over the wall.
And my honorable mention definitely goes to 33 Dildo Guy, because
he gets an honorable mention.
He does. He gets the honorable mention because I've had this conversation with other people outside of our podcast, and they all agree. There's so many unanswered questions as to what went down and why it went down. So he gets the honorable mention, but Wally the Giraffe, episode 6, is the number 1 Empty Room podcast story in 2014. Eric, it's been a pleasure doing this for you. We've created something I think that might have some legs.
I like it.
In 2015, hopefully we can make the jump onto the website, get an RSS feed, and then get
2015?
That's what I said.
Did you say that?
Yeah, I did say that.
I wasn't actually listening to it.
He's already thinking about the coat that he's going to put on me to make me disappear. But hopefully we can get an RSS feed and then get on iTunes, get on Stitcher, and keep going forward, because quite frankly, it's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do more of it in the next year.
I love it.
So Happy New Year, everybody, and we'll see you on the flip side of 2015.
Happy New Year.
That was the Empty Room Podcast, episode 14. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and that YouTube page. Music by High Congress.